So, what happens when that classic American dream, the house with the white picket fence, smashes head on into the reality of today's housing market? Well, something new is starting to emerge. It's called build to rent, and it might just be completely changing what we think of as home. Let's get into it.
I mean, it sounds a little backward, doesn't it? For decades, the whole point was to build homes to sell. So what changed? Why are huge investment firms suddenly pouring billions into creating entire communities where not a single person actually owns their own house? Okay, let's unpack exactly why this is happening. To really get this shift, you first have to understand the intense pressure that created it. And honestly, there's no better place to see the American housing market's pressure cooker in action than Los Angeles.
This right here is the absolute bedrock of the entire trend. For a huge and growing number of people, especially in pricey cities like LA, the numbers just don't add up anymore. That dream of buying a home, it's becoming a financial fantasy for way too many.
And just look at how all these pressures are piling on top of each other. Renting isn't just a lifestyle choice. For a lot of people, it's the only option left, but it's getting shakier by the day. You've got those pandemic-era eviction protections gone, huge corporations owning more and more properties, and not nearly enough rental assistance to go around. Renters are really feeling the squeeze, and that creates this massive, unmet need for a totally different kind of housing. So, this perfect storm of high demand and instability has basically kicked the door wide open for a new approach to housing. And that's where the build to rent model, or BTR for short, steps into the picture, positioned as a direct answer to this whole mess. The concept itself is pretty simple, but wow, the implications are huge. Just imagine a brand new neighborhood, the kind with fresh lawns and driveways, but instead of seeing for sale signs, every single house has a for lease sign out front. The entire community is owned and managed by one single professional company. And you can totally see the appeal for the renter, right? This isn't your typical apartment complex. It's kind of like a hybrid. It gives you the space, the private backyard, and that whole suburban vibe of a single-family home, but you still have the flexibility of renting. You get the lifestyle without needing a massive down payment, even if you're not building any equity. Okay, now let's flip the script for a second and look at this from the other side of the fence. A happy renter is great, but for these giant communities to actually get built, you know there has to be a major financial upside. So why are investors getting so excited about BTR?
You see, BTR hits all the sweet spots for a long-term investment. You're getting a reliable, steady check every month from rent. You've got a built-in customer base because of the housing crisis, so vacancy is low. The land and the homes themselves are appreciating assets. And on top of all that, the homes are built from scratch with durable, low-maintenance stuff designed to last for years as rentals. Yeah, this isn't about flipping houses for a quick buck. The BTR model is a totally different game. It's a long-term play designed to just generate this predictable, stable cash flow year in and year out. It's almost more like owning a utility than a traditional real estate venture. And the perks just keep stacking up. For one, it's way more efficient to build 100 homes at once than to try and buy them one by one. Then you've got the fact that people who want a single-family home feel tend to stay longer, which cuts way down on turnover costs. And beyond the huge tax benefits, there's even this genius safety net built in. If the market gets tough and it's hard to sell a new development, you can just pivot and run it as a BTR community instead. Okay, so the model sounds pretty solid on paper, but how does it actually hold up when it collides with the messy, competitive reality of a market like Los Angeles? In a place like LA, the forces pushing BTR forward are just incredibly powerful. You have this massive population that absolutely needs to rent, an affordability crisis that's one of the worst in the nation, and a huge remote work trend that's pushing people right toward the suburban-style living BTR offers. It's basically a perfect storm of demand. But, and it's a big but, it is not all smooth sailing. I mean, trying to build anything in LA is famously difficult. Developers have to navigate this maze of zoning laws, the cost of materials and labor just keeps going up, and finding a big enough piece of land to build a whole neighborhood is ridiculously expensive. These are major, real-world roadblocks. So, if it's that expensive and that complicated to build, where in the world is all the money coming from? Yeah, funding a project on this scale isn't exactly like getting a simple mortgage for a house.
Turns out, the money comes from a whole mix of places. You've got everything from traditional bank loans to huge private equity funds and real estate investment trusts, also known as REITs. Sometimes developers will team up in joint ventures to share the costs and the risks. They might even get government incentives or use crowdfunding platforms. It often takes a really sophisticated blend of these sources to get one of these BTR communities off the ground.
All right, let's zoom all the way out. We've looked at the problem, the proposed solution, and how it all works. But what does it all really mean for the future? Is this just a passing trend, or are we looking at a fundamental change in how we live?
And here's the big takeaway. BTR isn't just about building more rental houses. It's a direct response to our modern economy. It's a model that basically admits that the old path to owning a home is blocked for a lot of people, and it's offering this new hybrid alternative that combines the lifestyle of a home with the finances of renting. And believe me, this thing isn't standing still. We're already seeing some really creative twists on the model, like rent-to-own options that could actually lead to ownership down the line. We're adding smaller backyard units, ADUs, to properties to create more housing. This space is just getting started.
Which leaves us with this final, really provocative question. As these build-to-rent communities pop up all over the country, are we watching a permanent shift away from that ideal of individual homeownership? Are we moving toward a future where home is simply something you lease, not something you own? It's a pretty profound change to the American dream, and it's happening right now, in real time.